Hello my friends, I'm Russ Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today we're talking 350s. Recently traveling around the US doing clinics, I've had the opportunity to put more time than usual on the KTM Umbrella 350s. When I go to these clinics, I borrow a bike from whoever has one so I can just fly in and teach. The past few clinics have been 350s and I have to say the more I ride them, the more I like them. So today I want to break down the pros and cons of the 350 and my full thoughts on these machines. Now, I just taught 4 days in Virginia where I partnered with Wayne Cycle and borrowed one of their 2024 Husky TE350. Now, Wayne Cycle is an awesome dealer in Virginia and they always help me out when I come to town. So this bike, from what I understand, had a few mapping adjustments, the aftermarket Husky Power Parts exhaust, and suspension changes. Now, they asked me before I came if I wanted to make any changes to the machine. The first question I asked was, what is the bike's gearing? The bike had 1448, which is stock, and I opted to go to a 13-tooth front sprocket. Most of the clinic is slow speed drill, so I don't want to be geared too tall. I also had them throw, of course, IRC tires on. The VE33S is what they opted for, which is a perfect, well-rounded tire. So when the bike was ready at Wayne Cycle, I picked it up and immediately felt comfortable enough to do a few wheelies and a few blips here and there. The biggest thing I felt initially was the difference between the white and green maps on this machine. The green map was so powerful and snappy, where the white was noticeably more tame. I pretty much immediately knew I was going to be in the white map the whole entire time because I like a nice, tame, smooth bike. So during these clinics, I actually put a lot of time on each bike because these classes usually go about 8 hours per day, where I get to try fundamental all the way to advanced techniques and really hone in my skill on each differing machine from clinic to clinic. Also, during downtimes and breaks, I usually go out and play on whatever obstacles. As I said, the first thing I noticed about the 350 is the difference in power from map to map. Unless I'm riding Moto, I'd leave the bike in the white map the whole time. Because I ride so much technical terrain, I'm always looking for the smoothest possible power to hold traction and control. The white map was incredibly smooth. The advances the 4 strokes have made in fuel injection technology is unmatched. It really made me wish that 2-stroke injection was at this level. The way the 350s run, no hiccups, no bogs, smooth, tractable power that's always there when you need it. To me, they have more snap and pop than the 2-strokes, which is really fun to ride. This feeling of torque on the bottom makes clearing obstacles easy. Now, if you were to dyno a 350 versus a 300, the 300 would probably have more torque, but the longer power curve of the 350 and just the characteristics of the 350 and the engine feel, the way I think of it is a tractable snap of power that would be better suited than a 300 for clearing something out of a corner or just no momentum jumps in general. This type of riding is where the 350 shines. Every time I ride one, I understand why it's the go-to choice for endurocross. Now, a common question I get asked is, did I have trouble with stalling? Truly, it wasn't that bad at all. Of course, I may have stalled a few more times than I would have had I been on a 300.
All day long, you got that.
But the wide ratio transmission paired with the 13-tooth front sprocket was close to exactly where I would run the bike if I owned one. I may add 1 or 2 teeth to the rear, but overall it was a pretty well-rounded setup. I had a long enough first gear for the trial style riding and a second gear that could pull me out of the corner with no momentum. And it still had the power to clear whatever I needed at speed in second gear. Now, when you lug a 350, that's where you feel a distinct difference between the modern 300 2-strokes and a 350 off-road 4-stroke. The lugability of the 300s are still unmatched. On a 350, you can feel when you're on the edge of stalling. During a lug where we need that tractable, consistent pull, The 350s require a bit more modulation with the clutch and throttle. I can see where a slick situation, it would be easier to break traction on a 350. Obviously, hard enduro specific is all about holding traction. When it comes down to it, the 300 is still king in that department. Although with the newly added 4-stroke class to the US Hard Enduro series, I might have to build one of these 350s and see what it can do. Now, one big piece of this Husky specifically was suspension. Unfortunately for me, the bike was sprung about 100 pounds over my weight. You can probably tell I'm riding a bit high in the stroke at times. This did cause the bike to feel unsettled in looser rocks or covered trail sticks and roots. Although I will say it felt awesome when doubling bogs. Obviously, the stiff suspension can handle those hard hits, so it actually made me pretty comfortable and confident slamming into each sharp double. The valving would honestly be great for someone who weighs a bit more than me. Now, of course, this Husky has brake tech components. As you guys know, we ditched our brake tech components and added Moto Master stuff on the TE300. You can check that video out right here. The brake tech stuff obviously isn't as good as the Moto Master components, although these brakes weren't quite as bad as my TE300. I did notice a bit of fade on the front as it got hot. But one thing I will say, I do love the brake tech clutch master. It has a soft pull of a 9mm master Brembo, but the friction zone of a 10mm master. So brake tech is doing something right there with the clutch master cylinder. I did see that the 2025 Huskies come with Brembo, so it seems I wasn't the only one who wasn't 100% satisfied with the brake tech components. Something major I did notice about 4-strokes is how hot they run. The 350 was equipped with a fan to help keep the temps down, although I wouldn't mind a fan on the handlebars to help keep my temps down. Just sitting on the bike, you can absolutely feel the heat coming off of the engine way more than a 2-stroke. Sitting on a hot bike teaching in hot temperatures for 8 hours a day can be a little extra challenge. Although, all in all, I'm really happy with how the bike performed throughout the 4-day clinic. Every time I ride a 350, it makes me want to test more 4-strokes. Honestly, I feel like a properly set up 350 might be better suited for the average rider. The well-rounded ability and fun-to-ride characteristics make it well-suited for someone who rides off-road, moto, single track, and the occasional technical trail or obstacle. The more I test them, the closer I get to buying one for that exact style. Turn track, endurocross, moto. I think a 350 is hard to beat in that discipline, in my opinion. It's the proper tool for the specific job. 2-stroke, 4-stroke, even electric. One of each sounds best to me. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on the Husky 350. And if you're enjoying the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto, my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.